You're listening to Prep Insider Radio with your hosts, Tommy Morris.
Good. This is nothing to do with State Creek Baseball, I'm sorry, but have you seen a series of fortunate events?
Christian Pedersen.
I mean, I'm out here grinding. I'm putting in hours. I'm getting there at 5 a.m. to cheer on the water polo team at practice. I'm showing up to our basketball team. I'm showing up to our football games. We don't even have a football team, and I'm supporting that.
Noah Laxina.
And Noah Laxina's number 3 tip for Valentine's Day is...
Chill, man. Things are going to be all right. All right? You don't want to force it. Let it happen. You're going to be all right.
And Bodie DeSilva from Scorebook Live.
I mean, he brought basketball into that one. I got to give him 9 out of 10. I like that.
What's going on, everybody? Christian Pedersen.
Tommy Morris.
Bodie DeSilva.
And we are also joined by a guest to start off the show, and it is Shawn Martinez from Helix High School. Shawn, what is going on? Say hello to everybody real quick.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
All right, so we'll get back to Shawn in a second because we have to give this man his proper introduction. We're going to do our interview first, then afterwards, I got one big lingering question that I want to ask about an update that CIF made to some stuff this week. So let's get to Shawn first, though. I'm glad we have this man on because not only is he a champion, not only is he pick one of the 5 or 6 awards that he got last year, and you fill in the blank there as to what you want to introduce him as, but he's someone that we talked to his teammate Jaden Brown earlier this week, and he said he wouldn't admit to it directly, but he said that basically this is the one dude on the team that he's scared of. And I liked hearing that because it's always fun to talk to an offensive lineman that can get after it a little bit no matter what position you play. Shawn, thank you so much for joining us. We're still a few months away from football, but it's got to feel pretty good that it's finally down to, like, you can sort of understand it's only a couple weeks away, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What's the offseason been like for you? Because I'm sure that that's a loaded question that comes in a million different directions, but in terms of the actual physical preparation that you've been doing, what have you been able to actually get in?
So I've done a little bit of working out in the weight room, on the field. I've been trying to go to as many camps as possible with, like, the camps affiliated with Giant Skills. I'm going to one in November with Keith Miller called Showcase Football or something like that. And yeah, just trying to get in as much work as possible with all this COVID stuff.
Shawn, with the extended break this offseason, is there one specific thing you think you've been able to improve on or as you head into senior year?
For me, yeah. I think that I've improved a lot on my pass set because, like, run blocking, it's kind of run blocking. You just kind of get in the way of the guy and you just destroy him and you just push him down the field. But pass blocking is a lot more technical and just, like, being patient. I think that I've improved a lot on that since last year.
Yeah, Christian talks all the time about how big your offensive line is, just specifically.
Dem goons.
I'm not going to say because I don't think you're afraid of anybody, but if there was one guy on your offensive line that you're like, dude, that dude's big, who would it be?
No way is he scared of anybody on his own offensive line.
From last season, it would have to be Leandre Rail because he's just a big dude. But this year, I think I'm the biggest. Or actually, Josh Simmons.
He's a big dude.
6'6". Yeah, he's 6'6", like 270, 280.
You can't teach 6'6".
Can't teach 6'6". We'll put that on the poll at SD Prep Insider. You can't teach 6'6", ? Yes or no? We're talking to Shawn Martinez from Helix High School. Tom, you got another question?
Yeah, so just kind of looking at your guys' schedule, you're one of the few teams that does have some out-of-section games scheduled in there. So are you guys excited to still be able to potentially do that? And what's it like for you guys? Because you guys are always one of those teams that, I'm not trying to toot your guys' horn, but you guys are so much better than the majority of the teams in San Diego. You do have to play these out-of-section games. So what are those like?
Oh, those are definitely fun. Like, for us, we got Oceanside, Corona Centennial with Corner Tormund, and then Mission Viejo. Those are our first 3 games, I'm pretty sure. And then, like, every year we play, like, the best teams in California, kind of. I love playing the best teams because, like, you get to go against a lot of good competition. And, like, other schools, like, they, like, want to see, like, how their team reacts, like, to some all right teams. Like, no, we want to put ourselves at the fire, and so then we can test ourselves for championship, test ourselves for league, all that type of stuff.
You mentioned the word championships. I want to go back and ask you what sticks with you from your championship experience last year. What is one of the main memories, takeaways? What really is sticking with your what do you remember most about that experience?
For me, it was was so surreal because the year before, back in 2018 or 2019, when we had lost the Saints, I was actually there too. I was on the field. I was suited up, but I didn't play a lot. But I was like, dang, like I don't want to come back here and lose. And that was like a big driving factor for me, at least, for winning last year. I was like, I don't want to come back to the stadium and lose.
Speaking of last year, too, one of the crazier games that I got to see in person was your guys' game against Saints. Very low-scoring game, and then it kind of all went kind of crazy at the end. What was that game like?
Oh, that was definitely a tough one. So, Saints' defense is just chaos. It was just confusion, and we just kept running the ball right at the middle, and then Sammy Stewart came up with a big pick six, and that was huge for us. We were just grinding it out as a team.
Looking back at, the years since you've been at Helix, is there one game that sticks out? Is it that Saints game last year, or is there one where maybe you dominated and it wasn't a close game, or what's the one you look back on with the best memories?
I think for me and like the team overall, I think one of our better games was probably against Cathedral. For me, I had two big fourth down stops, a big defensive play on I think it was like a second down when they ran a fly sweep with the receiver. I got him in the backfield, and then on offense I was just dominating like all the DNs and the linebackers. I think that was good because them coming off the big win off of Corona Centennial and Corey Foreman, them coming off that win and everyone like hyping them up, I think it was good like a stamp for us to put on them, like, no, we're the best team in San Diego.
You talked there about playing some offense and some defense. Which do you prefer and which do you think you're better at?
I don't know. That's a hard question. A lot of people ask me that because I know, like, statistically on paper, I'm better on offense. I like defense, but I also like offense. So I don't know. It's just really hard for me to decide.
I want to ask you something a little bit different from I'm done playing the memory game, the cliche high school sports question games, and I want to go more towards the visual. Maybe you can teach us something. If you go check out, we're talking to Shawn Martinez, him on Twitter. It's at Shawn_Martinez_. Shawn, the jersey doesn't make it all the way down, so you got definitely the showing off of the lineman girth there in the middle, but you got the arms folded in a way that you're also showing off the cannons. What is the key to being intimidating on the offensive or defensive line? Like, how does somebody actually, like, how do you go about instilling fear in other human beings before the snap?
I don't actually try to do anything. I'm just out there.
You just exist, and that is scary enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing. You don't do any sort of pre-snap stare into somebody's eyes or like yell at them. There's nothing. Your existence alone is scary enough.
Yeah, no, I don't really do anything like that. I just, like, for me, I don't look at them like, oh, like, I need to beat you because you're this player. I just focus on myself and what I can control.
Speaking of guys who are quote-unquote this player, Helix had a lot of them. So what's it like watching football on Saturdays and seeing some of your old teammates out there on TV?
Oh, it's cool. It's real cool. I know that kid. Like, Elion Noah and Zeke are about to play each other. I think it's in October 24th. Boise State and Utah State are playing each other. And then watching kids like Chris Alvarado at University of San Diego, or Carson Baker. He just got named the QB1 at San Diego State. That's pretty cool too.
Yeah, the Carson Baker one is pretty awesome. Did you overlap with him at all? Would you have been a freshman his senior year or no? Do I have that off?
Yeah, I was a freshman.
That was a very different time in our show's history, back when we openly doubted Helix football on the airwaves and paid the price dearly for that one. Never again.
The Noah brothers are on opposite sides of the ball in college, right?
What was that?
The Noah brothers are on opposite sides of the ball in college, right?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I might have to make... Okay, here we go. They meet in the hole. What happens?
I don't know. That's a hard one.
Does the universe just explode?
It's a good hit. That's what happens. Shawn, I got to ask. Shawn, what year were you born? Because you're talking about seeing Helix alumni out there. I'm curious about something. What year were you born?
2003.
Alex Smith, who had already graduated from Helix 4 years prior to you being born, is still in the NFL. Do you guys? How do you guys go about celebrating him? Like, does that feel like the same kind of thing as when you're watching Carson Baker, or how do you guys see Alex Smith?
We see him as a big role model because, like, he came from Helix. His dad was the principal or something like that, and that's just really cool. Especially him and Reggie Bush, and and him coming back from that big leg injury. Like, that's crazy. Our coaches encouraged us to watch the series about him. I watched it, and it was surreal how what happened to his leg and how he came back from it. That was just props to him and all glory to God for that.
Certainly, I wanted to tweet it, but I figured I'd get too much backlash from other schools. But I was going to quote tweet it and say something like Helix kids just built different after coming back from that kind of injury. Definitely. But I figured there's other accounts that I see when they wade into those kinds of waters, and I just go, no, I don't want that result on any way, shape, or form. I will stick to the other sports. We're talking to Shawn Martinez from Helix High School. Shawn, thank you so much for joining us. I want to close out with this. Pre-game playlists. Do you have songs that you specifically like? Are you willing to share some with us?
Oh yeah, sure.
Deal. So here's what I'm asking is we're trying to get everyone that joins us on the show to contribute a Spotify playlist. So let's, if possible, let's close this out with, can you give us like one song off of it, but then send us 10 songs and we'll make that Spotify playlist and share it with everybody?
I got you.
Deal. All right. What's that one song? Close us out.
My one song?
Yeah, just one sample. Just sample your playlist. One song.
It's called Faddish by T Grizzly.
All right, there you go, folks. Head on over to our Spotify to see what Shawn Martinez is cooking up. Shawn, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time, and you have a great rest of your day. All right, I like that kid. He's just scary on his own existence.
I'm very scared of this Spotify idea, though, because I think this is going to be a full playlist of songs I've never heard of. And I'm going to feel so old. I'm
glad that's what frightens you and not the profanity. Because that's where my mind went immediately was we're going to find out that a lot of these kids are doing
they probably know words that I don't even know.
Hearing that he was born in 03 frightens me.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. It's cool though, man.
Yeah.
We're still hip. We're young. We have a TikTok now. You can follow SD Prep Insider on TikTok. We have 4 videos posted.
Oh, we should practice some dance moves and get on there. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to dance, right?
Here's what I'm going to say is I have a safe assumption that collectively between the 3 of us that are in this room that we are not good enough to dance.
I feel like you should do like a lot of clap gestures and that's it. That's all you have to do. The ones I've seen.
Is it wrong? Yeah. Okay. So I'll summarize my own point and my failures. Is my reference was going to be that I was going to dance like Elaine from Seinfeld, and that makes me both extremely white and a little bit older than necessarily is recommended to be posting on TikTok. So yeah, I think that case solved right on the dot there.
How is that not a GIF?
A GIF? It's a GIF. It for sure is a GIF.
I'm going to look for it right now.
So here's you don't go on Twitter. You just Google it. That's always, I don't, because I feel like the ones that iPhones and Twitters and Instagrams all come with are kind of limited.
I'd agree. Yeah,
so
Google's been better.
You just Google, and then you just.
This is such a brain fart. I just searched for GIF instead of Elaine GIF.
Yeah, whatever. Happens to the best of us.
What did it come up with the most popular one ever? What is that?
It was just a GIF of the word GIF.
Oh, makes sense.
Oh man, still got a ways to go until sports are back.
Carlton dance is still better than the line dance, but Carlton dance I think is
but the Carlton dance has become iconic though,
yeah, that's
and because it's on Fortnite and all that kind of stuff, and the Elaine dance is just a very you were white in the 90s.
I love how Fortnite realized you can't trademark dance moves, so they just
went for it. Yeah, they just owned it. Good on them, man. Good work if you can get it. Any actual high school sports news that we want to talk about? I was kind of just given a radio tease earlier. They didn't really announce. It just kind of got talked about this week from Scorebook Live that everyone's going to be allowed to do all-star games or all-star teams.
I think it's a big deal.
Travel ball teams. I kind of was excited by seeing that because to me, that's a much more largely symbolic move than anything else because that's not going to guarantee that every kid is going to do that, and that's not going to guarantee that every program is going to be down with doing
here's
that.
Here's what it does, though. So let's say a kid goes to school in a district that won't let him play. and then some are allowed to play, some aren't. You could then, in theory, make an all-star team of all the schools that weren't allowed to play and have them play against other all-star teams of schools that weren't allowed to play. So then you still give a kid an outlet, and then the district's not liable or whatever. So
I wasn't even close to interpreting it that way.
That's how I took it.
I hadn't even thought of that.
That's how I took it. So I took it as this is a plan for
Mark
just
the
in
tape.
case they don't let people play. At least the kids who need to showcase themselves for colleges will have a shot, and it'll be legal and everything.
Tommy Morris coming up with an amazing perspective on something. Mark the tape. That was killer. No, I'd much more interpreted that as just they're assuming that things will be so back to normal next year that AAU ball will be like, hey, we're just going to return to our normal cadence, and travel baseball will, and all these different sports like that. Bodie will, I guess, be the voice of reason. Where do you fall on all this?
Yeah, no, I mean, you brought up AAU, and it's not with this particular bylaw, but the interesting thing to me is with the NCAA announcing their live periods for basketball, that period is now going to cross over when California plans to play their high school season. So whether that's maybe you play a league game on Friday night and your kid's playing in front of college coaches with his club team on Saturday, does he skip his high school practice? How does that whole factor into everything? Because that's what I'm really interested in. Are coaches going to be strict and say, hey, you're either with us or you're not, or hey, you're welcome to skip practice Saturday because you're going to be in front of college coaches?
And that's why I say I feel like it's a largely symbolic gesture on CIF's behalf, because they're not enforcing in either direction. They're just saying, go for it. We'll be accommodating. And that's going to be up to every single coach.
I agree.
On such a case-by-case basis that I don't think, I think some people get hype and hyperbolic for certain just moves to make in CIF, and then you really think about it and you're like, no, CIF's not like a governing body. They're just an institution that governs tournaments and organizes. They're not the NCAA with whip crack power.
I need to reread it too. Did it say games plural or game? Because then you could almost make a league of all-star teams. See what I'm getting at? I know the rules.
I interpreted it as plural.
Okay, I know the rule is right now you can only play in 2 all-star games if you're in high school.
I have the quote up if you want me to read
did
it.
that go away too?
Okay, so I was interpreting that more as that it was talking about like showcase games, not necessarily considered all-star games.
Well, let's say you play in the McCossie game, then you can't play in the All-American, Adidas game and the Blue-Gray game. You have to pick one. You can only do 2 all-star games per kid. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that bylaw got suspended.
I don't know if that's a CIF rule or what that is.
Yeah, I've always known the rule of 2, but I'm not sure if that's CIF. Or can they play in 5 if they get invited? I mean, that's
well. If you don't play a season, you should be able to play 5 all-star games.
I would
no problem
agree.
with
Yeah.
that. I don't.
Chaos.
Yeah.
Anarchy. Would take to the streets with pitchforks screaming.
Yeah, the rule is just listing high school all-star competition. So.
Yeah, that's why I say I just feel like it's a largely symbolic, and a lot of people get way hype over, CIF's going to change. This is going to change everything about it. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Because realistically, high school sports applies to a lot larger slice of a certain pie that no one wants to admit exists, and that is D3 through 6 type sports where it's just 40 kids on the cross-country team at LCAP or something like that. I don't mean to sideswipe LCAP. That's a random guess. They might be amazing at track, and I apologize. But I would hope that you get my metaphor.
Like, because sometimes you get the argument, well, yes, the Division 5 schools or whatever have the top kids are just as good as the top kids in other divisions. There's just not as many of them. If you made like an all-star team of those kids versus an all-star team of like different divisions, how that would hang. I think you'd be surprised.
It depends on the sport. Because like the linemen down at smaller divisions of high school football can't hang.
That's exactly what I'm saying. There's always like 1 or 2 kids on a team that probably
there are not. You're telling me that there was 5 D5 linemen last year that could have hung at.
I would have to look through it, but
I mean, we saw that metaphor more or less literally play out in Bishops.
Tough to get 5, but if you go at like basketball, let's say
Camino.
10 years ago before the Open Division, if you took
Okay, well, Bodie, no, don't go into previous division bracketing because that's not how high, that's like Tommy going back at Danny Mitchell for a 2005.
That is kind of, okay. Well, that is actually kind of what I was thinking about. I was thinking about all the small schools' best players versus the big schools' best players. But
I mean, back in the Foothills Maranatha day, where those were really good teams, but because of enrollment, that's where they played.
Yeah, I can see it happening in certain sports. Baseball, it could probably happen. Basketball, it could probably happen. I would assume volleyball, it could not happen because I just don't see the demographics and size playing at some of those lower division schools. Yeah. Also, though, the way that the division thing works out now in San Diego is you have that fluidity, so the certain people just play at the right levels.
The fluidity thing messed my brain up. Sorry. I still don't know. I don't know.
It'd be an interesting competition in certain sports. It would be a really interesting competition. I think
if you had league, each league had a team. That'd be kind of cool.
Let's do that. Let's mark that down for next week's show. Let's just hypothetically rebuild all of high school sports.
Well, yeah, I know when in the last few years when basketball will do their All-Star game, used to be at Horizon. I think it's been at Mira Mesa now, but usually it's been a north-south thing. It'd be interesting if you were to cut it division-wise and still see how equal it is.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that next week, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Any closing notes, Bodie DeSilva from Scorebook Live? I forgot to mention that Scorebook Live is the official digital content provider of the entire state, but we don't care about any section other than the San Diego CIF section.
We're another week closer to practice.
What are we, like 70 days, 63 days, 56 days?
December 18th, I think, is the date.
That was 12th.
Hopefully.
Still 2 months. We're just under 2 months.
Yeah, about 2 months.
Deal.
I think first scrimmages are allowed to happen December 30th.
Nice.
So I'm going to go and Google days until.
We'll close this out. Tommy Morris, bring us home.
What day are we
here.
going to? December 12th?
Yes.
Okay. I hope that date's right. 57 days if that date is right. It could be wrong. I got to double check.
If not, it's 63.
You stuck the landing there. It could be right. It could be wrong.
Could be
Thank
right.
you very much for
go
listening.
Up, stocks go down. 12th is a Saturday, so probably not that. Whatever. Might be the 14th. 14th. So then 59 days. Who knows? Nobody knows.
Journalistic integrity to the very end. Thanks for listening, folks. We'll talk to you next week.